Brian, are you a high value man?
Wait, where did that come from?
I'm just wondering.
Well, I sort of object to, like, for example, like terms like alpha male, beta male, high value man, low value man. I kind of object to those sorts of terms. But I mean, to actually engage with your question, can you guys be quiet back there? To actually engage with your question, I think in some dimensions of human achievement. So I think to answer your question, am I a high value man? Not in all realms. I mean, I think certainly there's some realms of human endeavor I'd like to improve on. I think in certain realms I would consider myself yes, but in totality I'd say it's hard to really answer that question. But and again, I preface this by saying I don't like those kind of categorizations, high value man, low value man, because that sort of exists on the spectrum. But like, for example, my fitness is not where I'd like it to be right now, and I think that's one dimension that I'm lacking in. But when it comes to, for example, my career success or my finances, I think I'm doing fairly well. So there's that. And then I think I'd like to think I have my head on fairly straight. I don't smoke, don't do drugs, have no debt, don't smoke, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't party, don't go to bars, don't have really any vices. So I think in those dimensions I'm doing quite well. So
do you agree with the whole red pill thing, that it's like good for men to sleep around?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you have a higher value as a man if you're sleeping around, have a ton of bodies? So
I don't think promiscuity is good in men or women. I do think when men and women are promiscuous, I do think that there are differences there. I do think that it can certainly have a negative impact on both, but I do think that the negative impact tends to be more significant in women than in men. I'm not saying that it's all smooth for men who are promiscuous, but I certainly think there are differences between the genders. I'm not in favor of promiscuity in either sex. I will say, though, that I do think it is the case that to be broadly attractive to women, you're going to have a much higher degree of relational dating and relationship experience than the reverse. So I think that a man who lacks experience with women is going to be probably deemed
what about sexual experience, like the number of partners?
If the woman's a virgin, then it probably won't matter. But once a woman's lost her virginity, and if she's had a few sexual partners, a man lacking in that department is actually going to be could be a pretty big deal breaker for a wide swath of women. I don't think it requires a man to sleep with 50 or 100 women to become sexually experienced. But I think, for example, like even very sexually experienced men may very well prefer women who are not sexually experienced. They might find that attractive or sexually arousing, whereas the reverse is very rarely the case. Sexually experienced women are repulsed by men who are virgins.
I feel like most high-value men look for women who are not experienced. I feel like
Definitely.
High-value men in this world look for, or at least in my opinion, I feel like when I think, what does a high-value man want? 18 to 25, virgin, thin, woman of God, no tattoos. I feel like it's different. Like for me personally, I'm not necessarily looking for a high value man, but I would want a man that has a little bit of experience. But I feel like from a man's perspective, when they're looking for like the woman of their dreams, they would find a woman that doesn't know anything.
Kind of depends. I think we maybe need to define high value man though a little bit better.
Do I define high value
man? Some people would look at a high value man as a guy who's like sort of in Dubai with a Maserati and sort of has all these chicks. I wouldn't say that's a high value man. But some people would look at, I look at, for example, Michael Knowles, who was on the podcast last week. I think he's a high value man just because he carries himself so well, and he's a husband, and I think he's a father now as well. I look at guys who are fathers, who have been in a relationship for a while and who have been a good leader of their family as high value men, and especially good leaders of their community.
I think leadership
but
is
sometimes
important.
Having experience with women does come in handy with that. So it's just one of those realities of the world we live in right now.
Yeah,
so,
I think there's people say there's a double standard, but I think there's a double standard for a reason. Men and women are very, very different. And I personally don't see an issue with a man going around and being with a bunch of women. Even, my ex who I dated, he would go see other women every now and then, and I never really had a problem with it. I didn't think that there was an issue with it. I think it's normal, but as a woman, I feel like there's just this system in place where like you can't. I feel like it's wrong. That's just the way that I feel.
Your position is that women want men to be experienced and go with a bunch of women, but you would prefer not to go and do that because
Can
the
you
man
repeat the
values
first
it?
part again? What was
So
that?
your position is that you value men who go out and get experience with other women.
No, I don't. I think it doesn't matter. But I don't look at a man and I'm like,
you want to like preserve yourself for the man you're with. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I have not preserved myself in the best way.